All right. Our next caller is Gregg from Fort Worth, Texas. Gregg, welcome to The Narrow Path. Thanks for calling.
Hi, Steve. I just want to say I appreciate your show.
Thank you.
And do learn a lot from it. And your call screener up in Portland is amazing. Very nice person.
Actually, we have different call screeners on some days, but yeah, Sam is doing it today, and he's good.
Okay.
I'm not saying the others are not.
That's right. He's super nice.
Yeah.
Anyway, I wanted to talk to you. I can't catch every show, but
what? You can't catch every show? Well, depart from me. No. Okay, go ahead.
I do have a life to live, and sometimes I'm not in the truck. But anyway, I heard a couple of callers calling about the Earth, and I know with every fiber of my being that the Earth is a flat plane and it's perfectly still, just like our senses confirm. And I wanted to know how we could possibly justify what they say the heliocentric model is doing right now. And I wanted to know if you knew that they say that the ball Earth is spinning on its axis at 1,040 miles an hour and going about 67,000 miles an hour around this giant sun and chasing the sun through space at 500,000 miles an hour, which is 12 million miles a day, and then the universe expanding at the speed of light. How can we defend the faith that God created the creation when it's these crazy speeds that we don't experience and they haven't shown us a scientific test to prove? And God's scripture says the earth is fixed in place, that it cannot be moved except for earthquakes. I'm wondering how in the world we can justify what they're teaching us and telling us to believe against our own reality.
Well, our own reality is, our own perception is limited to the little square of ground that we're on. The Earth is a very large object. Now, I don't believe the Earth is flat. I have a lot of listeners I know who've called who do believe the Earth is flat, but I don't believe it's flat. I believe that the way they know that the Earth is spinning at 1,000 miles per hour at the equator is the Earth is about 24,000 miles around the circumference, and the sun ends up in the same place every 24 hours. So it must be going 1,000 miles an hour. But that's, I mean, and the other distances, I have to admit, I don't know how they measured them, but that's not my field. I'm not an astronomer. But I don't have any problem believing that those things are true. I think the people who are the most knowledgeable scientists, including Bible believers, believe those things without any question. Now you might say, well, they should question, and of course,
that's right.
we should question. We should question everything. Yeah, we should make sure we're not passing on information that's not well founded. But it doesn't require an unbeliever who is a scientist to believe that the Earth is round and spinning at those speeds. So I would say, if you ask me, how do people know, that there are atoms? I'm not really sure, because no one's ever actually seen an atom, but they have ways they've tested to, they know about electrons, they know about atoms, they know about quarks. How do they know? I don't know, but I don't have any reason to doubt them. Now, it wouldn't make any difference in my life if the Earth was flat or round. It has absolutely no bearing on my life, nor does it have any bearing on the Bible, since the Bible does not actually teach that the Earth is flat or round. It's not really, that's not what the Bible is there to talk about.
What about the foundations and the pillars and the ends and the corners and the footstool? And if you look at the Hebrew cosmology, isn't it a flat earth with a firmament over it and water above it and water below it?
I've heard people say that, and I don't actually see the Bible saying that. Now, whether ancient Hebrews saw it that way or not, a flat earth with a big dome over it, I mean, I know the pagans did, and some people say the Hebrews did. And maybe they did, but the Bible didn't tell them that. I mean, people have believed lots of things the Bible doesn't tell them. The Bible does everything you mentioned about the earth having foundations or being God's footstool or, being stable, it shall not be moved, and so forth. Those things are all in the poetic books, Psalms and stuff like that. And they talk about, God forming the dry land like with his hands, shaping it like clay out of the water and things like that. I mean, that's not how Genesis describes it. In other words, the poetic books use all kinds of imagery, and we do too. I mean, we talk about the sun will rise tomorrow at such and such a time. Well, maybe it will. Maybe the sun's moving. Maybe it doesn't move. But the people who say that the sun's going to rise are usually people who don't believe that the sun is moving. They believe the earth is turning. And so we don't always talk in the way that's technical. We sometimes use what they call phenomenal language. Phenomenal language is basically just talking about things the way they appear from our perspective. So, the arguments I've heard for the flat Earth are simply not persuasive, and it seems to me that most flat earthers did not begin with science and argue that there's a flat Earth, but they began with how they understood the Bible. They thought the Bible teaches a flat Earth, and therefore they went looking for the scientific confirmation of that. But the Bible doesn't teach there's a flat Earth, so it's not a necessary thing. Now, I personally don't think there's anything at stake in the shape of the Earth. So, if the Earth was flat, that'd be okay with me. Except I think that by Christians saying the Earth is flat, when in fact there's a great number of evidences that have convinced all the experts otherwise, it might make Christians look a little bit like we're superstitious or that we're just behind the times. And, there's nothing wrong with being shamed for Christ, but being shamed for holding a flat Earth is not the same thing as being shamed for Christ, because Christ didn't teach a flat Earth. In fact, Jesus taught that at the moment of his return, it'll be nighttime for them. 2 will be sleeping in one bed at that night, he said, and 1 will be taken in the other left. And 2 women will be grinding at the mill. That's what they do in the morning chores. And 2 men will be working out in the field. That's daytime activity. And at that very moment, 1 will be taken in the other left. And yet at that moment, it'll be nighttime for some and daytime for others. And I understand the succession of day and night to be caused by the visibility of the sun coming over the horizon of a turning globe. I know flat Earth people have explained it different ways, but frankly, if the Earth is flat like a pizza, then once the sun is visible to any part of it, that light would shine across the whole surface, it seems to me. I don't really know how you'd have night in one place at the same time as day in another. So I don't think Jesus taught a flat Earth, and I don't think even what he said very well fits with the theory of a flat Earth. So, I mean, you're certainly entitled to believe that. Anyone can believe whatever they want to. They don't need my blessing. But I'm not on the same page about that. I think that the best scientific evidence does support around
What
Earth.
about where God says the sun and moon are right in the sky, and we see them right there, and there's video evidence?
Again, that's
clouds
phenomenal.
Behind the sun and moon. Thick, heavy clouds are recorded on video behind the sun and moon. I've actually recorded clouds behind the moon.
Okay.
I saw it for myself and grabbed my camcorder.
Let me just say this. I'm not going to argue about whether there's clouds that are visible behind the sun and the moon. I don't think there are. I haven't seen those videos. It seems to me if that was true, I think the astronomers would have spotted them too. They have telescopes and things like that. And I think they would have figured it out. I think if there's clouds, there's clouds. The moon is between us and these clouds. The moon must not be out as far as we thought it was. In order to believe in a flat Earth, you have to believe an incredible conspiracy theory, because there's people who've been in space. There's people who photographed the Earth, but you have to believe those photos. Those are conspiracy. Those are faked photos. Those have been doctored. You're not supposed. They want you to believe the Earth is round, global. And so you've got to have everybody in NASA, every airline pilot who's flown around the world, they have to be in on this conspiracy. And we're talking about thousands and thousands of people. And we say, why would they want to? I mean, what's the motive here? Who's making money off this? How is there any benefit in teaching the world that the Earth is global if they secretly know it's really the shape of a pizza? I can't think of any motivation. And I think they believe what they do about that is because all the evidence points that direction. At least that's how I take it. You can certainly see it differently, and I know you do. So thank you for joining us. We need to take a break here. We have another half hour coming up. My name is Steve Gregg. You're listening to The Narrow Path radio broadcast. We are listener supported. You can write to us at The Narrow Path, P.O. Box 1730, Temecula, California, 92593, or go to our website, thenarrowpath.com. I'll be back in 30 seconds, so don't go away.
Are you aware of the wide variety of teachings available without charge at the Narrow Path website? In several hundred lectures, Steve Gregg covers every book of the Bible individually and gives separate teachings on approximately 300 important biblical topics. There's no charge for anything at our website. Visit us there and you'll be amazed at all you have been missing. That web address again is www.thenarrowpath.com.